Hey everyone, this is Lindsay Ballet from She Works Abroad, and today I am here with Brittney, who is calling in from home, as am I, as we are going through COVID. We're in this moment where most of us are working from home, and Brittney and I were chatting right before this about how when she came into your global career, um, COVID was like 2 weeks away from hitting. Coronavirus was 2 weeks away from really hitting the US. And so, how she's
hmm
navigated essentially the past 4 months of going through a global pandemic and career transitions at the same time. So, hey, Brittney,
Hi,
good to have
how are you
you.
doing today?
Yeah, not too
Thank
bad,
you.
not too bad. So, I wanted to start and kick off and talk a little bit about where you were at the beginning when we first started talking about you working abroad and what you wanted out of your career. You were in a moment where you were just kind of like threw your hands up, like, I am done applying. I've applied to everything under the sun. Tell us a little bit about what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my venture of like wanting to work abroad started maybe in like 2014 when I had the opportunity to do a program abroad. And I think ever since then, I kind of got like the traveling bug, or I just became really curious to see like the rest of the world. So I think from that point, me looking for global jobs or like a global career has always been a part of the plan. And so anytime I was anytime I got a job that was in the United States, I pretty much settled, you know? And so I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm of age and I'm at a point in my career where I want to solidify like where I'm going and just have more clarity on like actually what I'm doing rather than just getting a job just because like, oh, they gave you an interview. Like I wanted to have more intention and more purpose behind my career. And so that's what led me to reach out.
Yeah, I remember like in our initial conversation, that was like you were very, and you always have been super purpose focused. Like, I want
hmm
a global career. I don't want it to be a one and done. I want it to make
hmm
sense for like my personal growth and my professional
Yes.
growth. Tell us about the application strategy you were applying, you were putting together before we started working together. Because you had apply, like it, you had worked really hard to apply for a bunch of jobs.
Yeah, and I mean, and honestly, I'll be honest. When I did apply, I did get opportunities internationally, but they didn't pay a lot. You know, it just didn't make sense. And I'm like, wait, every time I was able to work in a different country and like meet people who are already expats, they had lived a completely different lifestyle from me. So I was like, okay, what's going on? Why is it that I'm not getting any traction, or like why can't I find the right jobs? And so before I didn't have a strategy. It was really like word of mouth. But
Hmm.
like once you're in the state, the only way you can connect is like via Facebook or like I don't know, WhatsApp from like whatever network that you made. But their first question is, okay, well, are you in country right now? And the answer is always going to be no, you
Right.
know? So I didn't really have an actual strategy about how to job hunt. I was just like applying and then hoping that they would get back to me. I wasn't tracking or anything like that.
Yeah. And I mean, you'd put in a lot of time and energy and effort. It was super clear to me that you knew that having an
hmm
international aspect of your career, living abroad, traveling, etc., was super paramount. But
Yeah.
then coronavirus hit, like
Yeah.
like 2 weeks after we started working together. And it
Yeah.
threw, I think, a lot of us, we had to look at your global careers vision and what you were doing because you were really headed towards fashion, one of the hardest hit
Yeah.
industries during
Yeah.
COVID. So tell us a little bit about how you how you decided to come into the program, but then also when
Mhm.
you were in the program, some of the changes you had to make because of coronavirus. Because I think that would be helpful for people right now going through similar
Yeah, I
situations.
think the determining factor for me was I gave it time. Like it wasn't like after our first webinar, like obviously I was interested, right? Because I watched the webinar, but once we had the call and then we talked about like the details of like what the program will cost and like what it would look like. The first thing that kind of held me back was the price. And I'm like, okay, am I ready to do that? Like this is such a huge investment. And so I had time to really think like, okay, if I don't invest in myself, am I going to be satisfied with like staying in the current position that I am in now? And there's nothing wrong with that organization at all or like what I was doing. It was just more so of like, am I challenging myself? Am I where I really need to be? And once I asked myself those questions, it was like, no. And it's like, okay, well then why not, seek help? and get like someone to support you and hold you accountable towards those goals. And that was the determining factor for me. Like as soon as I was in that space or like in that energy or that window of opportunity, as you would say, like I was just like, no, call Lindsay back. Let's do this program. Just do it. Don't look back. At the end of the day, you'll learn something even if you don't get a job,
Mm-hmm.
but it turned out to work out really fast.
It did.
And then COVID happened, right? The pandemic happened. And for me, it was excellent because I think between working and commuting, I wouldn't have had the time to like focus on that. And it made it easier for me to create a routine and come up with a regimen that like worked for me
Mhm.
and not having to like fit the program into like my work life or personal life. Like I made time for that. And because of the pandemic, I had time to carve out time for that.
It's interesting.
So,
Yeah, because it's like gifted time, right? Like we never
yeah.
expected to have that time before.
Yeah, definitely. And it also is so interesting. Even from like a mental health perspective, just the program and coming up with the strategies, this definitely has put me into a more positive space.
Yeah.
I think prior to this, I wasn't like a super pessimistic person, but I was definitely falling into, that ditch of like, oh, well, I have to find security. I need a job. I just need to be making money and I need to start saving up and buy a house. And like, I might not be able to travel abroad and work abroad, but maybe I might be able to do leisure travel with my 2 weeks of
Hmm.
vacation I might get from an organization. Like I really started to fall into that, and there was nothing about that idea that was of me, like at all.
No.
But I just felt like, oh, this is what society says, like let me just do it, right? Because I've
Yeah.
tried my way and it hasn't been as successful or lucrative.
Right. Right. And I think you're exactly right. Like when we talked, I was like, it was so clear that you had this vision for your life and what you wanted, and like you just needed the handholding and the strategy to
Hmm.
make it happen. It was like once I knew that if you just got out of your own way, you were going to take off
Yes.
because you had such big bold ideas for what you wanted. And one of the things I loved about your time through your global career is that you always came not with like one idea, but with like six ideas. Like you're someone who has you're multi-passionate, and that in the
Hmm.
beginning drove you crazy because you were like, I don't know where to
Yeah.
focus. And in your career, you felt
Hmm.
like I'm so multi-passionate that I feel like I'm jumping around a bit. And how do I
Hmm.
bring those all together? So let's talk about that. How did you end up bringing, kind of your identity of who you are and what you're
Hmm.
doing together during our time?
Yeah, I think first up, I had to be really honest with myself. I think it's easy for someone like myself who's like multi-talented and like a multi-potentialite, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To say, oh, well, yeah, I can like do marketing and like, yeah, I can do HR here. And it was like, no, what do you like to do? Like that was a real question. Like you can do anything that you put your mind to, but do you really enjoy it? And so when I started to ask myself those questions, then I think it started to kind of like narrow down the industry,
Yes.
right? And from the industry, I knew that I'm passionate about fashion. I'm passionate about like working for a company that has purpose. That's like really one of my biggest things. And so when it came down to that, I was also able to tie in my other personal goals and how that might fit out there. And so what happened was is as I started to plan, the plan felt right. Like it didn't feel like I was like I was compromising or making any sacrifices or anything like that. Like it felt right. And then once I was able to tap into that space where like this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, the opportunities just started coming.
Yeah.
Like things that never happened before. So I think it really took me asking the right questions and then getting myself aligned for those opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it happens, it
Right.
was good.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think that's helpful. That's helpful to know because so many people are multi-passionate, like that come,
Mhm.
and they're not quite sure how this is all going to fit together. And our
Yeah.
slogan, like my slogan was like, focus on the goal, open to the journey. Like we know where you're headed. Like we know what your big, bold life looks like. Like
Yeah.
let's find out where this journey is going to take us on that way and make
Right.
decisions based on the opportunities that
Hmm.
that come your way. I think we were both surprised by the opportunity that you ended up taking that came your way
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was one, I think at the very beginning, before coronavirus, before all this, etc. We wouldn't like it would have been one not like that we wouldn't have entertained. But it came at a
Definitely.
time when it was like, oh, I see how this is all gonna make sense, right? Like looking at
Yeah.
your goal, but this journey. So tell us a little bit about how long did it take for you to come find the right opportunity, and then
Mhm.
what made you take it?
Yeah, well, just to go back to your previous question, I realized I didn't answer this portion of that. But so originally, I wanted to focus on doing HR within the fashion industry. But once the pandemic hit, I realized that I could still steadfast on that goal, but maybe I wouldn't be able to get to that plan right now
Hmm.
based off of what was happening. So, what I had to do was open myself up to other opportunities. And so I've had experience in tech, and so that's where I felt more comfortable, and that's how I um, found out about this other job. Well, they actually reached out to me, and I think it had a lot to do with the strategy that we came up with to develop my Facebook. In fact, the first week that we worked on that, the views of my profiles increased by like 900%.
Hmm.
And so my LinkedIn, it's always kind of been like, okay, when I'm looking for jobs, I'm gonna like work on it. Now I'm very interactive. People message me all the time. I just met with a few people, so it's definitely giving me a different perspective on like LinkedIn and how it could benefit like your social capital. But
Totally.
yeah, and so when I somebody reached out to me, they told me about the position. I did the interview, and pretty much I was very honest with them. I knew that I was making that sacrifice of not being in fashion, but one thing I wasn't going to give up was like the global aspect.
Right.
So when these companies did reach out, my first question was, I looked at the company, are they global? If they're not, if you are global and you don't have any offices, do you plan on opening that? How
Right.
open are you to sending, um, your local employees international to help you set that up? Like I was more so looking at the the opportunity as like, okay, where am I positioning myself,
Hmm.
right? How is this going to get me back on track to my next goal? What are some skill sets that I can pick up from this position that are going to help me moving forward, right? And so I think with this position it had a lot of opportunity for growth. I mean, this is a tech company. They've been around for a while. They've been bootstrapped for like 10 years, but they hadn't had an HR department yet. So, there were a few people within the organization who had hats for HR, but they weren't actually HR personnel. So, for me, I was like, oh, this is like a science project. You know what I mean? I have to go in, I need to research, I need to do inventory checks, see where everything is. And I was like, this is great, right?
Hmm.
Because this is going to help me feel more confident about everything that's HR related when I get into the opportunity that's right for me. So I see this opportunity and this experience as like the analogy of what we spoke about sometimes you don't have to hop over to the next cliff. Sometimes you have to go down that cliff, across the water, and maybe go up. And so this opportunity for me, although I'm not there where I envision myself to be, I'm climbing down the cliff and I'm getting closer to where I need to be. So I see this as a way to it's I got global, didn't get
Hmm.
fashion,
Hmm.
but I'm getting hell of experience, and
Hmm.
I definitely got a great increase in pay. So I'm not mad about
Right.
that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, and
Yeah.
I think you did something. Like you did something. That's what I find so remarkable about people who look at, okay, so this is what's going on, and we had to make business decisions. And I think that's a lot of
Yeah.
times when people are, they've been applying for a really long time, or they've been like down this path, etc. It's like, let's look at the strategy and let's make some business decisions to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. And we know that, hey, it might be one fell swoop, but there might be some stops along the way, but we're making progress. And for you
Yeah.
specifically, when you presented this opportunity, it was like, all right, leadership position, like great pay increase, reporting into the C-suite, ability to take the company global, like they're, open new offices, do these things as coronavirus simmers down. I just thought, like, what a bridge, like what a success story during a time when so many people are scared to do anything because it's like, just be
Hmm.
grateful you have a paycheck, which, like,
Right.
that's good. Gratitude for a paycheck is great, but if you're miserable and you're not learning, etc., I think you're just a
Hmm.
really great example of how you can build a bridge to your future.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, like that's the thing. This program has helped my mindset stay focused on the abundance of opportunities rather than feeling like, oh, I must hold on to this job that I have. Like if I let go, I'm possibly going to be unemployed. Like that was never a thought. Like I feel like the program trained my mind to be like, no, you're going to get to where you need to go. It may not be when you want it to be, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to put in the work, right? And like everyone's timing is different. And so I think it's important that you focus on what you want rather than focusing on what else is going on in the world or like what the company is saying. It's more so of like being aware of your skill set and what you have to offer. So when you shift your mindset into that space, then I think that that's when more people will find you also valuable to their organization or to their project or whatever it is that you want to do.
Right.
And I think for the first time in all of my interviewing experience and working for other jobs, this is the first time I've went into an interview and they were like, "Oh, you are very talented. These are all the things that you have. How can you help me?"
Right.
Before it was more so of like, "Oh, you're entry level. Maybe you're like out of college or like you don't have little experience. So like." You can have this job. This is how much you're going to get paid. This is the first time where I was able to identify my skill set and that a company was also able to um, appreciate that and want to work with me because of my skill set.
Absolutely. And wanted to work with you even when you were said, my passion and my interest is in global. How do we help the company go global? How do we open new branches and opportunities, etc. And saying like,
Mhm.
well, you know better than we do, so
Yeah.
we're gonna get like look for you to help us with these opportunities. It was a complete
Yeah.
switch, and then
Mhm.
negotiating your package, etc. You just came at it
Mhm.
from a completely different mindset, and I think it paid off.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a transaction. Like I think that's like one thing that I've learned in this process. Like it's not about, oh, I need a job and a paycheck and like please hire me, please hire me. Like it's not about that. Like and this time around I was very comfortable letting them know like I am passionate about fashion. I know you are a global trade company, but I'm passionate about fashion and I do want to do some entrepreneurial things around that space. I spoke about my pay, I spoke about my ideas of living and hobbies, and I really was looking at this company as like, okay, am I truly a good fit? And based off of my questions and like them seeing that I had a lot of pushback on a few things because I was uncertain, they're like, "Oh, this is great." The fact that you're asking questions, the fact that you want to know more, the fact that pretty much doing an assessment, like a needs assessment of where I'm going to be working and the city that I'm going to be living, they were really intrigued by that and they actually ended up inviting me to where the company is at and they showed me around the community to be like, hey, this is what we have to offer, like,
Right.
are you okay with this? And so I think the whole my whole perspective has changed in general for work. Like I feel like I've always had value, but now I'm aware of it, and
Right.
so it's different when you're in those conversations.
Right. So that, yeah, I agree. And I'm so glad to hear that. Like, it's just, it makes such a big difference. And I know that like when you're standing on your firm ground and your foundation and you know who you are and you know you're multi-passionate and you know you have these interests and someone says, we see you and we know that you can do big things here. It's just, it to be recognized allows you to like it frees your workspace. It frees
Yeah.
you to be who you want to be at work and not just let it be just a piece of the puzzle, but like more blended in terms of who you are and what you stand for. And again, like you did this, I think it was 10 weeks in the program, like at the
Hmm.
10th week or so you got this opportunity, like
Yeah.
during coronavirus, like like in the
Hmm.
height of coronavirus, to get this offer,
Hmm.
accept it, take it, and make this happen. It's just a testament, I think, to you and to your hard work. Um, what would you say for
Hmm.
other people who are on the fence right now? Maybe they're watching this and they're nervous about making any changes during coronavirus, and they're wondering about how to build their own bridge. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say first, I would do what's best for me financially. Like that's always first. But if you know that you're in a position to where you feel stuck and you know you want to go global and you know that you want to make a career change, I think that you should say yes to yourself
Yeah.
and don't hesitate because like when you do your pros and cons and you do like a risk analysis of like this investment on yourself, like you're going to gain something regardless. Like this is not like a life coaching. I'm talking to Lindsay once a week. No, you're doing the work. You're learning as you're going. So like you're literally investing in yourself. You're putting yourself in a boot camp, not only for a global career, but like mindset training, um, doing an inventory of your skills, setting your intentions. You know, it's more than just about this global program. Like it's having that global mindset,
Yeah.
right? And so having a global mindset is just like opening up your mind, being flexible, saying yes, but also knowing when to say no. Like these are all transferable skills that you can use throughout life. So if you're having any doubts, that's understandable. I think that's a good thing. You should always question everything, but you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong at all.
Yeah, one of my
And this
favorite
is coming
quotes.
from someone who was even considering taking out a loan and everything else, you know?
Yeah.
I had that hesitation. I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to find money. And the money came. The money came, and I'm fine. It has not impacted me. And I think you should just say yes.
I think two things there. One is that like fear and doubt are always part of the journey, but so is
Yeah.
opportunity, so is your destiny, etc. It's just which one you choose, right? And if you're not scared, you're not dreaming big enough. It means that like you haven't like thought
Yeah.
about things big enough. And you definitely were there. Like you were thinking big. And then there was the how am I going to make this investment? Like I know I want to make it, but how am I going to make it the investment? And I just never doubted for a second. I was like, Brittney, this is what you want. Guess what? Like you just tell the universe this is what I want. You get smart, you get creative, you get resourceful, and like it's gonna happen. And I think for you it was like a week later. You're like, I'm in.
Yeah. 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 I mean, well, you go through that whole mindset of like, I mean, because I found out about the program like through Facebook, right? So everyone's advertising and things like that. But obviously, I was already on that journey of looking for this type of help, and it came up in my newsfeed, right? I understand that aspect. And from the beginning, I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, oh, well, maybe Lindsay really wants me to do this program because like this is her business and like this is going to benefit her. Like I definitely had all of those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But then as I had more conversations with you, I was like, no, she actually sees value in me. It's not that she's picking anyone who calls her. Like it
Right.
has to be a connection. It has to make sense for her and her business and her values. And so, you know, the later on as I thought about it, I'm like, I was chosen for this program for a reason, and it needed to happen. It was all about timing. This was not like a business transaction and like Lindsay wanted to take money from me and not really adding any value to my life. Like it had nothing to do with that. This was more so, and for my experience, it's been all about the universe, timing, saying yes, and putting myself in a position to take on all these great opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw
Yeah.
you from my shoes, you'd have the same reaction. You'd be like you've got to do this. Like there's too much opportunity for someone like you to go abroad and make a big difference and have a global outlook and play big. You would
Hmm.
say the same thing, which is like, hey, you can do this. You can do this. And it's just
Yeah.
I get the pleasure of helping, sitting in a position right? Just to help you make it happen. It's awesome. It's the best thing. And so when I get
Mhm.
calls from you and
Mhm.
other students who say like the opportunity came, and like
Yeah.
the opportunity will come. It just has to find you working. Like you've got to
Yeah.
do the work and the strategic
Right.
work. I think it's twofold. It's the mind, like getting your mind in the right headspace so that you're open to
Mhm.
receiving good
Mhm.
opportunities, and then doing the work so that people know
Yeah.
you're out there, they know your value, they know what you're all about, and
Mhm.
you're not doing a strategy where it's basically like choose me. You're doing one where it's like this
Right.
is who I am. And like
Right.
I welcome opportunities from people who know that I can, who understand the value I can add. And once you made that, it was like it was all done.
Mhm.
It was all done. Like the right position was absolutely going to come, and it did.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I'm excited. Like I said, the journey is not over. This is not like oh,
Never.
you do the program, the first opportunity you get, that's it. Like, no, I think the program has prepared me in the mindset where I'm staying focused on the goal. I'm being more strategic with my moves and I'm putting myself first. Um, I've enjoyed the program. I'm super grateful. It's just helped so much. Like honestly, I'm glad I chose to do this during the pandemic. It was definitely risky, but it helped my mindset so much. Like I don't know if I would have had such a positive outlook on
Right.
life.
Right.
Like, instead of me focusing on the pandemic, watching the news, I was watching your videos.
Right.
And I mean, some may say like that's not a good idea. You should have been looking into everything. But like, honestly, like, this pandemic is happening, and unfortunately, people are passing away. People are getting sick. There are a lot of people who are being affected by it. But you know, that's you can't get that mixed up with where you're going,
Hmm.
what your dreams are, right? Because you deserve that. So I had to keep reminding myself that, like, I deserve to dream. I deserve to dream big. It doesn't matter what's going on in life, how anyone else feels about it. I have to do what I need to do for myself, and I'm the only one who has the answers and who has the tools to fix my life.
Right.
So it was great to have someone to hold me accountable and continue to push me.
Yeah. Awesome. So good. Well, again, congrats. I'm like thrilled for you
Thank you.
during this time. And you're right. Like, this is just the very beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But you are a changed woman. Like, there is no doubt about it. Like, before, I wish we would have done like the very first call on video and then like where you are now, because people would be
Yes.
able to see like you've always had energy, you've always had light, but now you have purpose and vision.
Yeah.
And like it makes you unstoppable, and it makes you incredibly attractive to people to hire, because like that is something that is hard to come by. So congrats
Hmm.
again. Thanks for spending some time here with us today, and talking a little bit about your experience. Any final words for people before you go?
I would say believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Know that you are added value to the company, and these organizations, they need us. So they
Mhm.
need our skill set, they need our mindset, they need our impact. And anytime you walk into an interview, obviously be humble, be smart, work hard. Um, but understand that this is a transaction, right? They're paying you for your service. So make sure that everything that you want in that package, you get it. And you
Mhm.
deserve it.
Mhm.
And never settle, because there's so many companies out here that will say yes to you. You just got
Yeah.
to find the right one.
Just gotta find it. Just gotta find the right
Yeah.
one. Awesome. Well, thank you. So appreciate your time today, your energy, enthusiasm, and congrats again.
Thank you.
All right.